Hello, 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 guys. Welcome back to episode two of Growing Men, Growing Connections. This is the interview series where I get to meet and talk with a bunch of incredible men from the WA Men's Gathering ahead of this year's event, which is happening on the 19th to 21st of September. I'm going to be there. I'm going to be facilitating a number of different offerings, which I'm incredibly excited about. And here I am once again privileged to be chatting with you, Kitsiri, who was at some of the like early WA men's gatherings like 25 years ago. So I'm so excited to bring your experience, your wisdom into the space. Kitsuri is an art therapist, among other things, and he's going to be bringing some juice, some beautiful offerings to the gathering as well. So thank you for being
Yeah.
here, brother. I'm excited for this.
Thank you, Jordan. I'm really excited to be here and I'm really looking forward to the gathering. And
Mm,
yeah, I always love sharing the joy and the magic of art therapy with people
mm,
and being amongst men as well. So
mm, mm.
yeah.
Epic, man. Take me back to like 25 years ago, like early 2000s.
Mm.
What was it that called you to the gathering back then? Like, what was it in you or your life that had you enter this space and want to explore a men's space?
Um, I mean, for me, I think I'd only just recently discovered creative dance as
Hmm.
well. So I was really, and I was already running primal dance workshops with men and seeing the great response from that. And I think I was feeling, yeah, I was growing up in my early adult years. It was always in the caring industry and
Mm,
surrounded by women and the
mm,
gentleness and this and that. And but in that early time, I was really just starting to step into um, my own masculinity
mm,
and being surrounded by other men and in our healthy masculinity,
mm,
and it was pretty wild and bodacious and risk taking
mm,
those early years, especially those wild dudes from New Zealand coming over and just really enjoyed that healthy aggression, that warrior
mm,
spirit, and
mm,
wrestling with each other and all that kind of stuff. And um, yeah, my whole life I'd always been a very gentle kind of guy, and
mm,
but having the permission to let this the fire in the belly
mm,
out and have life and have it reflected back by other men and us just feeding off each other and think, oh, that's the number one word, celebration. It
mm,
was it was
mm,
a celebration of being a man and the co-celebration of that. That was the number one thing that really got me in those early years, and that's been
mm,
my motto in all of my men's work with art therapy. Is I really my whole mission is to help men celebrate
mm.
being a man. So yeah.
Beautiful message, man, and so needed in this time. There's so many
Mm,
negative connotations with
mm,
masculinity still and men, and it's
mm,
it's fair
mm,
enough. Like men have a raw history, a violent history at times in many
mm,
parts of the world, and
mm,
the antidote to that isn't to focus on it and do men. It's like we
mm,
need to bring men into spaces where they can
mm.
develop healthiness within themselves and be
Yep,
uplifted for what is beautiful
yep,
and valuable in them. So it's such a
yeah,
valuable thing you touch on, I think. It's
yeah,
interesting to hear you reflect on your journey because I resonate with parts of that as being a man
mm,
who was quite in touch with my softer or more feminine aspects, and
yep,
early on coming into the men's space and realizing that actually part of what I wanted to do was kind of
mm,
sharpen my edge, if you like, and find a bit
yeah,
more. Yeah, like I had that charge, that
mm,
intensity inside of me, but I was really
yep,
uncertain at times where it was welcome, how much it could come
yep,
out. And
yeah,
it's
yeah,
interesting. I think the perception in Australia in particular is that guys are really rough and blokey, and there are a lot of
yeah,
men that feel like that, I think. But more and more,
mm,
I'm noticing there's also a lot of sensitive guys out there who are not
yeah,
sure how
yeah,
much of their fire to bring, and
yes,
so it's a beautiful
yeah,
thing to be able to come to these places and get to know
mm,
your edges more and my
yeah,
my center and be able to walk with
yeah,
clarity and softness, at the
yes,
same time.
yeah, the balance, the integration,
That's it, man.
that
Major.
raw primal spirit combined with the gentleness.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
sure. Mm,
Beautiful. So, you've been in this space for a long time. I know you said it to me earlier that you took a couple of years off. You're coming back into the space because you want to be part of this
yeah,
revitalization. And that's what I'm here. I'm an East
yeah,
Australian man, but I'm
yeah,
invested in helping communities like this and I love showing up. So
yeah.
that's part of my role here. But
Awesome.
I'm curious to hear, like, how does being a part of the WA Men's Gathering community benefit your life? Or maybe more widely, what does it mean to you to be part of a men's community and how does that benefit your life?
Well, in the first one, encountering different types of men from the
Mm,
WA Men's Gathering,
mm,
the young men that I continued to have, or the younger men that I continue to have um, friendships with, we keep being engaged in men's stuff outside of the gathering.
mm,
Um, but also the elders from the
mm.
gathering, to sit with them in their wisdom, and going back to them outside of the gathering, and to
Mm,
keep receiving that wisdom for various situations and reasons
mm,
in my life. That those two things have been really huge from
mm,
benefiting from the gathering.
mm,
And and if there were deeper things that were touched on at the gathering, to be able to keep confiding and supporting each other outside of the gathering, like just having that knock-on effect.
mm.
And but in mutually reciprocal way,
Yes.
with
Yeah.
me supporting them supporting
Yeah.
me. And what's beautiful at the gathering is that when we have those the affinity groups, the breakout groups, that the some of the more maybe raw or tender subjects that might be touched on, that we can keep exploring them outside of the gathering.
Mm, mm,
And that's really beautiful,
mm.
that space of vulnerability and authenticity that can keep being nurtured. I really appreciate that. I get a lot out of that, as
Yeah.
well as, yeah, as well as, and the brashness and the dynamism of the younger men from the
Mm,
gathering, and feeding that fire in my belly to keep it going.
mm,
But also those moments of stillness and depth and quietness in sitting with the elders, and just and listening to the wisdom.
mm.
Both those things I've really benefited hugely from with the gathering. And you're talking about in the wider context of men's work, how has that benefited? Is
Yeah. I
that,
mean,
was that the
well,
question?
I feel like you answered the question so beautifully, and
Yeah,
what I draw from that is like that really it's giving you community, it's giving you
yeah,
deep relationships and a holding in your
yeah,
life, which I
yeah,
think is missing for so many, not just men, but human beings in the modern day.
yeah,
Like our,
yeah,
our relationships have just, and our community networks have just broken down so heavily. And
yep,
yeah, we have sporting
mm,
teams or clubs and stuff, but it's like,
yep,
when you're really going through challenge in your life or you
mm,
need to reach out or you want to support someone deeply, it's like people don't know how to do that. And that's what you're speaking to. And with
yeah,
Peter in the last episode, I was speaking very briefly to eldership and we were talking about that. And like that's just a whole other thing altogether, like so many people have no eldership and so many
yes,
elders are just being shipped off to nursing homes
nursing
and not
homes,
honored in their
yep,
eldership. So
yeah, exactly,
yeah, the presence that you've had of this in your life, I can imagine
mm,
it being so meaningful. And yeah,
yeah,
the experiences I've had similarly in my own community here with men and
mm,
women is similar. It's essential.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, 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 absolutely. And what's beautiful is that I don't even realize that I have,
Mm, mm,
or I may not have the realization of that depth and stillness inside me. But then when it gets reflected by
mm,
sitting with men who have that, the elders who have that depth and stillness, then it awakens that part of me. Because I can be very, you know, and I can forget about the value of that depth and
mm,
stillness and
mm,
quiet.
mm,
And so when I meet those sorts of men, it reminds me that I do have
mm,
that capacity within myself.
mm,
There's a
mm,
lot of value in that. So
absolutely.
yeah.
Absolutely.
Mm,
Beautiful name. Thank you. I feel like I want to turn a bit now, to what you're bringing into the space. And I'd actually love to kick that off with, something you told me very briefly before we jumped into this interview.
mm,
And it's around, I guess I want to speak a bit to the value of modalities like art therapy because,
Mm,
it's common in all people's lives and particularly in men's lives where we have juncture points, where we hit
mm,
deep challenge or deep pain or deep loss. And
yep,
for
yep,
a lot of men, that can be a crisis point because they don't have a way of feeling or processing
yep,
or moving through, and they need to reach out and
yep,
numb or they need to isolate. Um, and you said to me, that close to your dad's passing, something really
mm,
unlocked for you in your relationship with him because of the way
yeah,
he started to change in his
yeah,
death preparation. Can you
yeah,
speak to that a little bit and what happened for you in that
yeah.
space?
So, I mean, some years ago, my dad was diagnosed with cancer,
Mm-hmm.
and I mean, for the last 5 years before that, he had actually started
Mm,
softening and opening
mm,
to me and
mm,
being more um, receptive of me than ever before in
mm,
the history of my life.
mm,
But it wasn't until he was getting the chemotherapy for his cancer that he just absolutely blossomed. He just absolutely opened his heart
mm,
to me
mm,
and would just hug me fiercely and
mm,
tell me how much he loved me um, and um, and it was so interesting that I had completely um, sorry opposite feelings of that. One was, oh my God, great relief after the whole life that I've lived.
mm,
Now I've
mm,
got exactly what I've always wanted,
mm,
and I had so much anger that,
mm.
but I'm like, I've only got it for, he's going to be
Totally.
he's going to be dead soon. So I
Mm,
was so angry that he had to wait until he
mm,
was dying to be
mm,
able to really truly express the raw,
mm,
authentic depth of his love and feelings for me.
mm,
And and I was actually finishing my degree in art therapy at that time,
mm,
and so he died shortly before I graduated,
mm,
and it was that the those powerful feelings in me had really generated this fierce determination that I already had, but just turbo boosted this fierce determination of sharing creative means for men to
mm,
express themselves,
mm,
to help them express their authenticity,
mm,
so that they don't have to wait till the crisis point to
mm,
be able to express it,
mm,
whether it's dying or something else, but to be able to live with that ability to express their authenticity for
mm,
themselves and for their loved ones and their friends and etc. etc. But yeah, it really drove that determination
mm,
to share that with men, and for that
mm,
reason, that
mm.
I don't want other sons or friends to be in such a position of, but if only it had happened sooner.
Totally. Totally.
Um, so yeah, I really want that, and so now I just, as much as a way of life, I share my art therapy. I share
Mm,
it in the men's group that I go to, with the friends that I have, with the employment that I have, with in my own time, and it's
mm,
just become yeah, it's become such a mission, such a
mm,
sense of way of being
mm,
now,
mm,
and in particular with men.
mm,
Yeah,
mm. Yeah, thank you. I really appreciate the rawness of, your personal story in that and the purpose that it's also inspired more deeply in you. I heard that
yeah,
purpose was already there, but it's like it just supercharged that. And it's another point that I really resonate with,
mm,
that kind of tender but roaring frustration and heartache of like so many men having to
yeah,
hit this deep loss point before they're willing to trust
yeah,
life enough to open up and just be like, what if I don't subscribe anymore to the way I was taught to be a man and to this
yeah,
armoring up and this isolation I
yeah,
live in? And yeah,
yeah,
it's a beautiful
yeah,
avenue.
exactly.
Mm,
Yeah, and I have and in the 20 plus years that I've been facilitating workshops at the WA Men's Gathering, it's just been such a privilege, getting all these men to stomp their feet and do this body abuse and roar their lungs out, or to draw themselves as a superhero, and
mm,
shedding their tears and dressing
mm,
up in foolish, creative, beautiful ways, and really having their inner child just
mm,
bloom. And yeah, so it's just every single instance is another push in the back,
mm,
another wind in my sails, and
mm,
yeah, yeah,
mm.
really, I'm very grateful.
Beautiful, man. I imagine there's some guys that are here watching or listening and going, "Yeah, I love art therapy, or I love Kitsiri's work. I've done it before, you know." But I imagine
Mm.
there's also potentially some men here that are listening or watching that are like, "Fuck, art therapy, like what is that?" Or I can't draw, I can't paint, like
Yeah,
I've never
yeah,
picked up something in my life, you know. What do you
yeah.
say to those kinds of guys?
Yeah,
Like, how do you guide them? Because I have a
I
sense,
say,
but I don't think they would, you know.
yeah. No, I love it. The Whenever I have a client for the first time, I love when they say, "I don't know how to draw," and I say, "Me neither." That's what's so beautiful about it, because art
Mm,
therapy is not about trying to achieve a finished product. It's
mm,
really there's a lot of factors to it, but at
mm,
least one of them is that being in the moment and spontaneously releasing
mm,
whatever is inside you. So it's in that moment, what is real for you? What's happening for you
mm,
right now? Is it
mm,
anger? Is it
mm,
joy? Is it passion? Is it love? Is it
mm,
peace? Is it shame? Is it depression? Is it anxiety? And and just releasing it in a cathartic
mm.
way, and when we can, and we can use that through oil pastels, through magazine collage, through painting, clay, mask, dance,
Mm,
drama,
mm,
costume, whatever.
mm,
And in that act of release, there's this humongous sense of relief
mm,
that, because before giving it into the physical reality is just swirling around in our
mm,
heads like a hamster on a wheel. And when that happens, all we can see and all we know is this thing that we're experiencing. And
mm,
then we identify with it,
mm,
and we are only aware of, particularly when they're really overwhelming emotions, and we think, and we're only aware of anger, or we're only
mm,
aware of sadness, whatever.
mm,
And we forget that we actually have multiple possibilities of
mm,
being. But then it's called externalizing. When we
mm,
externalize what's inside us, whereas, whether it's a drawing or paint splatter or whatever, then we can step back from it
mm,
and we can look at it, and then we can say, oh, okay, so this is a thing that I'm experiencing. It's not who I am. This is what I'm experiencing. And
mm,
then, so there's this whole person that can look at this thing, go, oh, okay, so this is what's inside me. And even just seeing this thing in front of us, there's a sense of relief in the physical evidence of it, and
mm,
and also a beautiful sense of ownership.
mm,
Whereas without externalizing it, this thing owns us. But then
mm,
when we externalize and concretize it, making it physical reality, we take ownership of it. Go,
mm.
yeah, that's what it looks like. This great big exploding volcano. Hell yeah, that's my fury.
Yeah.
And so there's and quite a few people are in that situation. They can feel really disempowered and a
Mm,
victim of
mm,
what they're going through. But then when
mm,
I created this thing, through
mm,
my own efforts, there's this thing in front of me, and that is my anger. And so there is a sense of ownership of what we're experiencing, and it really
mm,
helps to reduce the victim mentality
mm,
of what we're experiencing.
mm,
And the other point is that work through metaphor. So somebody might
mm,
draw a great big, I don't know, black sea, and they can talk about the depths of this
mm,
ocean.
mm,
That is the depth of my sadness, and
mm,
then and through using metaphors and symbols, we can convey the richness of what we're feeling,
mm,
but also it it helps it to be vulnerable with
mm,
expressing our authenticity, because we don't have to say explicitly my sadness, my grief. You
mm,
don't have to say those actual
mm,
words.
mm,
And when we use metaphors to describe what we're experiencing, it helps us to be more vulnerable in our
mm,
authenticity.
mm,
But it also gives so much more rich description
mm,
of it.
mm,
And when we work in metaphors, our subconscious is being utilized, and our subconscious, where all the depth of our truth, of our
mm,
authenticity, body's
mm,
wisdom, everything, that's when that gets accessed and expressed. And when we can access the depth of ourselves through our subconscious, then the healing and moving forward can be
mm.
at an even more significant level. And yeah, so I
I love it,
just
man.
just realized
You're
I was on
talking
that
about,
list.
no, you're talking about like some of the most core fundamental principles of being empowered, like having
Yeah,
choice, having
yep,
your own power, your capacity to
yeah,
have awareness, to be
yep,
intentional with what you're experiencing, to
yeah,
not be a victim of life or your situation.
yep,
And I just
yeah,
love the way you described that, and I love hearing as well about the diversity of expression that you use within your art therapy. Like that's a
yeah,
really wide toolkit, and I find that
yeah,
so exciting. And, I think it's such an important message because I reckon, you know, the thing that possibly all men share the most that we're best at this time in the world is bottling things up, like
well,
I've
yeah,
worked on this for years and still I find myself accidentally at times just holding it all in, just,
sure,
you know, burrowing
yep,
down and being like, I've just got to keep going one foot after the
yep,
other. I'll make it if
yeah,
I just carry it all. And it's like,
yeah, yeah,
just let some of it out, and if you're a man listening and we were to offer you anything, then
mm,
what Kitsiri is inviting you into is the opportunity to take your backpack off,
yeah,
unload some of your burdens, and actually have a good hard look at them, do a bit of a stock take,
yeah,
and check whether you really need to or want to hold on to all of these things. That's an
yeah,
opportunity that the 2025 WA Men's Gathering is offering you as a man. It's like,
yeah,
do you want to carry the things that are weighing you down anymore? Or are you
yeah.
ready to actually unburden yourself from some of them?
And
Mm,
when we can do it amongst other men that are doing
mm.
exactly the same thing, and we're
Yes.
all
Yes.
being vulnerable, we're all terrified of doing that, then we create this space of mutual support and mutual permission
Yes.
to be able to
Yes.
do it. Of course, it's going to be really flipping difficult to do it by ourselves, but when we're
Mm,
alongside other men and we're all going through exactly the same
mm,
thing, it's oh God, it's just so beautiful that
mm,
you just look around and go, "Wow, so you're struggling with the same thing too? Wow,
mm,
okay, so that means."
mm.
So I'm actually not so unique and alone in my perception of what I'm
Yeah.
experiencing, and that also helps to diminish the intensity of it,
Mm,
and also even just the self criticism that might come from it, or just the self
yes.
attack of what we're
Yes.
experiencing. And when we see that other men are going through the same thing, then there is so much beauty in that sense of brotherhood and
Mm,
connection, for so many reasons, and
mm,
that's the thing I really 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 love and appreciate about journeying together, men journeying together, is that mutual support, whether it's literal verbal or just being in the space together,
mm,
and yeah, and it just helps the idea that this is uncommon and weird and bizarre to go, well, this is actually it
it's
just is.
regular.
It's just regular. Yeah, yeah. It just,
Oh,
that's,
yes, man.
yeah,
Yes, yes,
yeah,
yes. Like everything you just said up, I feel like it dovetails all the way back to the story you were sharing of like you
yeah,
first being in this space. And it's like this
mm,
is the wild thing that people don't realize. And if you're listening as a man and you haven't touched this work before and you're on the edge of your seat, kind of terrified at the idea of stepping into any space like this, what you may not realize is that the pain that you're in or the challenge you're facing, if you can bring it to a space like this and dare to open in it and dare to share it, not
mm,
only will you get the benefit of releasing it, but it will actually support you to make meaningful friendships and connections, and
mm,
it's like your challenge will be the gateway through which more support can enter, and it's
yeah,
like, it's just mind boggling. And I've been in workshop spaces where it's like it's heavy, And by the end, we're all laughing together, and it's like not only we are healing and letting go, but it's like we get to have fun at some point too. And
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
like,
of
this is
course,
crazy,
of course.
this is so
Yeah,
different to sitting in a psychology session or something and just going through a chunk at a time.
yeah.
Like there's a very different reality that we're forming in group spaces like
And
this.
everything has its place. I mean,
Mm,
I have deep respect for psychologists
totally,
as well,
totally,
and talk
totally.
therapy of every sort. I have deep
Mm,
respect for them as well. This is therapy is something else as well.
mm,
Yeah,
100%.
yeah.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Yeah,
Mm,
yeah. Beautiful. Well, you've got me excited to experience your version of
awesome.
art therapy. I've done a little bit of it in the past, but it's been a long
Yeah,
time. So I'm
yeah, yeah,
absolutely
yeah,
there and in. I would love
yeah.
to hear as we wrap up, man. I'd love to hear from
Mm.
you what you're personally excited about this year in returning to the gathering and coming back to this space and, as an individual and also maybe as a facilitator. But what are you excited about?
Uh, as an individual, seeing some new faces
Mm,
and and the new things that I haven't even heard about before
mm,
being on offer, and really feeling the spirit of the togetherness in creating it.
mm,
Um, and as the facilitator, I'm really, really excited to share what I'm going to share and offer something imaginative and creative and
mm,
rich. And
mm.
yeah, so that's
Awesome,
it.
brother. Epic. Thank you. Yeah, I'm excited
Okay.
to meet you. I'm excited to meet all of the
Yeah,
men. I've got so much I'm
absolutely.
excited about because this is a completely new space for
Yeah.
me. So I feel
Yeah.
very privileged to have this role and to get to serve this community in this way, but also
Yeah.
just to get to show up as a man and see the
Mm,
way the WA men do this and see the way the new
yeah.
guard's doing this. So yeah, man.
Awesome, brother.
Awesome. Thank you
Thanks
so
so
much for
much.
taking the time today, brother, and chatting with
Absolute
me.
pleasure.
Yeah,
No
it's
worries
been a
at all.
pleasure. Mm,
Okay.
thank you, man.
Fantastic. Thank you.